Hey guys, I'm Profitz from Profitz.com. Welcome to my next video in my gold making series about Trade Skill Master. In my last video I talked about operations, specifically auctioning, which is selling. Now let's talk about operations shopping. You guessed it, we're going to buy stuff from the auction house. You ready to get started? Let's go. Type /TSM Trade Skill Master to pull up that lovely auction house add-on, or from your mini map, click on the little symbol that looks like the Trade Skill Master wheel, and that will pull up your main Trade Skill Master add-on, which looks like this. From the upper left-hand corner, you guessed it, we're going to go into groups by clicking that crystal symbol, left click on that. And then these are your familiar groups that you already have created, whether you use by importing and exporting documents from Google. You can import my flipping structure and so forth. But let's say we wanted to make a group to buy things from the auction house through an operation. Trade Skill Master calls it shopping. So let's take this group that I called Ghost Iron Plate. If you left click on that Ghost Iron Plate, just watch it for a minute. You can make a shopping operation off of any group that you have, first of all. As long as the group has items in it, you can actually make a shopping operation. There's items. All of these groups have items in it. For the sake of this video, we will use this smaller group, Ghost Iron Plate. So in here, you guessed it, I have Ghost Forged Plate items that are here that I typically buy off the auction house, and I typically buy it when it reaches 100 gold or less. In turn, I have an operation for auctioning, which sells it back at the rate of 550 and upwards to 800 gold apiece. And it sells pretty good. So if you're not in this market, you might want to think about that. If you're a crafter, you might want to think about bumping up your prices, because I'm the type of person that would buy other crafters' gear that they underlist for whatever reason. Maybe they dump it in their inventory, but I would buy that and then resell it, and I never have an issue reselling it at that price. Again, check your realm's pricing and what's going on in the economy. Things could change. High population versus low population, how many crafters, what's the price of ghost iron ore, and so forth will add to the price. So for this simple example of an operation for shopping, I'm going to use this group. So I'm going to left click on the group. I'm going to go into the operations tab, which by default it will go into the operations tab. Remember, we talked about in prior videos management, import, export, items, operations. We talked about the auctioning operation, which will actually sell it. But what about if we wanted to buy it? So here's the operation. Right now I do not have a shopping operation for this. I'll explain why in a minute, why I don't have that. But let's walk through how simple it is to actually create a shopping operation. So you guessed it. Again, we have nothing at the top level of our parent group. If we click on the parent group, remember we talked about in a prior video groups. So you have nested, you have a top level parent group, and then you have subgroups or child groups, parent-child, or top level category, subcategory, or top group, subgroup, whatever you want to, however you can relate to it. And get the terms that relate to you. You don't necessarily have to know Trade Skill Master's terms. As long as you understand the language and what it relates to, you can make your own terms for it. Kind of like what in my prior videos I call operations rules or actions against groups, because I just can relate to it that better. So just figure out what works for you and go from there. So again, at the top level we don't have any shopping group, so there's nothing to inherit. Remember, if I set it at this level, all these groups will actually get that unless I set it at the lower level. So I don't want to set a shopping operation at the top level, because all these items are actually different and the different costs that I want to buy them from, different buying thresholds. So what I want to do is I want to click on this group in operations, scroll down, depending on how big your window is. I use mine full size just for this video. And I want to click on the override module operations. From here, you notice the button that's going to appear over here. Notice that? I left click on that, create shopping operation. I'm going to left click on that, and you guessed it, I'm going to name it. Remember before, I name them pretty much the same as my group, so I know what it is. So this is Ghost Iron Plate, or Ghost Forged Plate. Click OK. Remember, this is a very important step. Yes, I want to link the operation to the group. So I want to link the action that I'm about to create to the group. I want to click yes. And here, this is basically the only tab I'm going to talk about in here is the general tab, which goes to it. It basically says, what are you willing to pay at most for the item? Me, 100G. Remember, watch the color symbols here. If I type the 100S, it's going to be 100 silver. So 100G. This tab will actually say, and I'll show you the difference in a minute. So this tab will actually be unchecked by default. Show auctions above price, which means if this is checked, it will also show me anything that's listed above this price. So notice this. I'm going to keep it at that. I'm going to, there's nothing to hit OK as long as you enter the amount there. I'm going to go back to auction, and I want to make sure that the group, or going back into my groups, go back into the subgroup, and I want to validate in the shopping that yes, Ghost Forge plate, the new shopping operation, is there. If I wanted to view it, yes, 100 gold. That's it to a shopping operation. The reason why that I don't use typically, I don't buy from groups typically, is sometimes I buy from search strings. And we'll talk about that when I go to the auction house. So to test this group out, let's go to the auction house real quick. I'm on top of a mountain. We'll fly down, flying the friendly skies. We'll go to our favorite auction house. And here we are. So I'm going to open up the auction house. Now notice if I go into shopping and saved searches, this is how I typically buy Ghost Forged plate. I do it through a search. Almost like a group. There's the 100 gold. So I'm basically saying just with a left click exactly what that group does. It does a query against the database or against the auction house and says, all right, return me anything that's less than 100 gold. But notice I'm only going to be buying blue items, but it does return green. You just obviously dismiss it. So from here, if I click on the next one, TSM groups, I can also do shopping through this. And you notice there's the thing. There's my group that I just created. Sometimes when you come in here, it's going to be like this. Everything is going to be highlighted. If you want to do a specific target search for shopping, hit the deselect groups. Notice now the highlights go away. And just left click on the one you want to do, or the multiple ones you want to do. I only want to do Ghost Iron Plate. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to hit Start Search. See how it came back with Ghost Forge Plate came back with nothing in it, because I'm specifically searching for the blue items. See the difference there? Here is a general search for Ghost Forge 100 gold. Here I'm specifically using my group and the items in that group, which none of the items in that group are green. Notice the difference there? So these are all blue procced gear that I'm doing a search for. So if I go back to that group and I do a regular search, back into the saved searches, Ghost Forged, this is another way to buy shopping. You can also probably add rarity. So if I type in here and I do rare / 100 gold, notice it doesn't come up with anything, because now that matches my actual group search that I have set up, which is very interesting. So let's say now if I go back and I say I want to make this uncommon, and we'll get into this in another video, but this is the power of TradeSkill Master, and you can define your own search capabilities. Now if I say Ghost Forge and I say uncommon, yes, there's plenty of green items that are uncommon. And it would actually show uncommon plus. So if I do the other ones and I go back into rare, notice that nothing is there, which matches my group. So again, to reiterate, I go back into TradeSkill Master. You click on the group symbol. You click on the group that you actually want to modify and add a shopping operation to. And then from here, it's that simple. Operations, shopping. If you already have something there, just view it. If not, check this box. Click the create option, name it, and then give it a price. So if we go back, Ghost Iron Plate is my group. I'm going to hit check, If I already have the group, notice it's a drop down. And because I named it the same, I kind of know what it is. Ghost Iron, Ghost Forge Plate. I validate prices, 100 gold. There it is. Again, this checkbox would show me anything that is higher than the price that I want. It would basically do the search and show me return anything that matches the results of these items that are in my category. If I have this unchecked, which is by default, this is the maximum gold that it would actually return or less for those items. And that's it, folks. That's very basic how actual operations work for shopping. Again, you can create that for any group that you have created just by clicking that shopping operation. Here's the group. Make sure the group has items in it. Check off the override module operations, view operations, and again, this group I'm actually buying for 50 gold or less. So thank you for watching this video. This is a very simple approach to Trade Skill Master, breaking down each of the functions, step-by-step guides to help you build a solid foundation in gold making. I hope you appreciate it. I look forward to hearing from you. If you have any comments, feedback, or suggestions, email me at wildprofits@gmail.com. Follow me on Twitter at wildprofits. Check out my website, wildprofits.com, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. And hopefully these are helping you on your road to making gold. Happy earnings, guys.